If you're not making use of macros, you're wasting time, space, sanity, or all of the above. Macros can do almost everything in the game, helping you declutter your hotbars, help keep things organized, and save you headaches. But unless you know what you're doing, you might think you're making more headaches. That's because macros have some certain quirks that might cause you to think they're broken. Let's break down the why and how of Final Fantasy XIV's macro system. Every action in this game is connected to a text command. Almost everything can be typed, including attacks. You probably typed the most common emotes. Well, macros are simply a way to store typed commands and use a hotbar button to activate them at will. You have this User Macros menu that comes in two delicious ice cream flavors, Mint Individual and Sherry on top. Individual macros are per character, while shared macros are usable by all of them, even across data centers. You can give macros a name, then use this big box to store your text commands. Each macro can have 15 lines, meaning you can chain things together in one command. However, before we look at any macros, let's understand what macros can't do. Number 1, macros can't queue like actions do. When you press an attack a little bit early, it'll queue up so that it fires right away when the cooldown ends. Macros can't do this. The macro can only activate when the cooldown or lock is complete. This will lead to GCD drift and is inefficient. This also means you can't queue up an off-global ability either. Number 2, macros can't use non-integer waits. We'll cover a little bit more about waits later, but for now, note that this means you can't force an action 2.5 seconds after another action. 2.5 will go to 3 instead. For both of these reasons, it's been widely said that you shouldn't use macros for attacks. However, macros can be used for off-globals if you spam the button, because they don't queue. Here's an example with 2 macro off-globals in one cooldown window. Yep, it can be done. Why would you use an off-global macro? Here are 3 reasons. You want to use mouse over macros, you want to combine buttons using a priority system, and you want to communicate with your party. Let's explain those. Mouse over macros allow you to use actions on targets that your mouse is hovering, rather than clicking or selecting. You keep your current target locked, but you can heal or buff a friend. By using /AC cure, MO, for example, whoever your mouse is over at the time you use the macro will get the heal. This includes names, party list, and even character sprites. If no one is hovered, the ability won't fire. Mouse over macros can be used as a tank to fire off protective moves while keeping the boss engaged, for example. Mouse over can even be used to check someone's glamour without this awkwardness. There are a lot of buttons in the game. Some classes have more than others. Not only does this make for added clutter, but sometimes you have to remember the order of things. I don't know about you, but I don't have a prayer of remembering which Japanese samurai move does what. Luckily, I don't have to. Because Samurai's abilities are priority-based, I can put many of the off-global hits into one macro. If an ability fails to perform, it simply moves on to the next. The first line is simply to set the icon. When using an action icon, you get the full picture that icon would grant, including grayed out if inaccessible, MP cost, charges, etc. The only thing it won't do is generate a tooltip when hovered, unfortunately. I can do this with the AoE moves too, making my samurai bars nice and clean, but also covering the Japanese name order for me. Macro chat can be very helpful for letting players know what's going on. It can also be incredibly annoying, leading many to just abandon macro chat altogether. But done properly, you can let the co-healer know you're picking up the Dragoon, or let your team know you've activated your invulnerability move. Macros fire through lines very quickly, meaning that every time you push the button, you'll get the chat. Because it doesn't queue, you need to spam the button. So what do? Adding a 1-second wait like so, before the chat line, allows each and every button press to reset the macro. The message is cut off. What else can we do with macros? We can make hotbar menus. I've got plenty of videos on that. We can drop ground-targeted abilities directly on an ally or enemy. We can make Gunbreaker's healing abilities fire on mouse over, but if no one is moused over, it defaults to ourself. We can bypass level sync issues by using an AoE move like Orogeny if it's available, but Upheaval if it's not. We can combine all our basic heals into one button to share on all healers, that's mouse over, and bypasses level sync. We can make ourselves change pose with a hotkey, or sit or stand. We can add a line here to our sit command so that whenever we use a hotkey to sit, we activate a relic's glow. We can make custom dances using emotes and wait times. If it exists in this list of text commands, it can go in a macro. This is how crafters utilize macros to craft high-end gear when it's released. Find a crafting macro online, get a perfect result every time. So you can do almost anything with macros, including play casual summoner with one button. Pick commands, pick targets, follow a logical order, and you'll be an optimizing machine. If you want to see more fun macros, come check out the Friends of Eorzeon Discord, where I showcase some cool ones. And if set it and forget it is your thing, check out my BGM program SoundShape, in testing now. Pick your filters, press go, and get a playlist of that type of music. Try out the Christmas filter through December. Go ahead and throw some of your favorite macros in the comments. I'll see you next time.